curiosity and being a medium. A character performance practice is a way of gaining a radically new perspective on the world, because when character is switched, the lens through which the human being operates has been switched. My performance practice exercises curiosity in the walk a mind can take in and out of character and observing the difference it makes. When I induce myself to switch at the start of a performance, I find I am slowly becoming other in a surprisingly substantial way, a way in which the artifice of the act begins to buckle under the fiction that pervades all things. These tweaks to my personality, often echoing those contagious accents, gestures and mannerisms which I pick up from others in my daily adventures, seem to be enough to tip me into another personal paradigm. Character is a factor in the generation of thought. It makes some thoughts thinkable and others not, by embodying the very shape of behavioral possibility. Through the lens of another character, I find I'm able to say things I do not believe, or that would not occur to me in my habitual character. By putting myself in another's non-existent shoes, I'm able to experiment with beliefs and persuasion, like flexing a muscle. The entertaining of ideas through character inhabitation is phenomenological in spirit, because it suspends or brackets what it analyzes by first establishing a frame. The performance practice fosters a curiosity in other ways of seeing, reacting, believing. By shifting character and perspective, it offers itself as a tool for critical thinking and stepping out of a tunnel vision view. For the same reason, it is useful as a creative engine in the crafting of stories and artworks, because it opens me up to thoughts and perspectives usually inaccessible to me. The performance practice is also a philosophical exercise in observing character as a free-floating script, relatively independent of the human being. A video's cause of death. I have here established the performance practice as a space in which experiments on the self can be run via character switching. Very often, this can give rise to outcomes that are interesting to me artistically because of their tangential nature. The characters I inhabit often allow me to embark on an unfamiliar train of thought away from my habitual ways of thinking, giving rise to unusual stories and self-expressions. Sometimes, however, there occur failures in the performance process, which I will try to describe here by determining a video's cause of death. A few months ago, I made a particularly bad performance video. Not only was it less interesting than others and unconvincingly performed, but there was also something slightly insensitive about it, something oppressively representational. It was parodic of the character in ways that other performances, even those that employed plenty of humour, were not. The cause of death I give to this video is the motivation with which I approached it at the outset. I did not exercise curiosity in the character. I performed for the viewer, not for myself. I was controlling what I thought would be good for the viewer to see. I was not trying to discover the character and join the audience in finding out what the character would say and do. The performance practice must not, if it is to remain experimental and tangential, aim for representations. It must aim for seances. This is the difference between a fake medium and an authentic medium. A fake medium acts, tries to affect something that will look like possession to seance goers. A real medium is possessed, a real medium is listening, waiting for the spirit to answer, is as curious and expectant as the seance goers. A real medium wants to know what the spirit will say. Acting versus soul-searching. One can engage with the performance practice just as one can engage with a romantic partner, in two different ways. In a long-term romantic relationship, one grows to know their partner so well that, in principle, one could at any time choose to say or do certain things and have a fairly good idea about how that partner will react. There may come a situation where, knowing that partner could be spared some pain, one might select one's actions and words tactfully, with the best of intentions, hoping to enhance the happiness of one's partner as much as possible. This is a kind of manipulation which, knowing so much about a partner, one might exercise effectively with good intentions. But another way to engage that partner is to spare them no pain and in no way preempt or control their reaction, even if, in principle, one might be able to predict it. This would mean to engage the partner from a position of curiosity. One says and does things, and then watches curiously for the partner's reaction, not presupposing to know what it will be. This difference between anticipation and curiosity is, roughly speaking, the subtle difference between traditional acting and my own approach to performance, which we can call soul-searching, a kind of seance with character. A phrase or an act which is motivated by the desire to control another's reaction is a form of manipulation. This is the motivation of acting, a form of manipulation that we might pleasurably subject ourselves to as film or theatre viewers. In day-to-day relations, this manipulative form of address, if detected by the recipient, comes across as disingenuous and marks the interlocutor as inauthentic and untrustworthy. Meanwhile, when watching films or plays, we consent to being manipulated, and so the engagement is perceived as less malicious, but no less inauthentic. That is why disbelief must be suspended to allow ourselves to be manipulated. On the other hand, in day-to-day interactions, a phrase or an act delivered with curiosity in how the other will react comes across as more authentic. An interlocutor who seems to speak and act with the intention of finding out what your reaction will be gives you the space to be yourself. You trust the interlocutor because you sense that there is no manipulation or ulterior motive behind the prompt other than curiosity. Curiosity holds the space, provides a stage for the other's agency. This distinction between the motivation driving the behavior, anticipation versus curiosity, is how I differentiate my performance method from acting. In my more successful performances, I'm not seeking to manipulate the audience's impressions. I'm merely curious about how the character will behave when prompted by the performance situation or by the camera. I suspect that this focus on curiosity as the driving approach behind my performance is what creates the sense of authenticity I tend to feel during my most successful inhabitations. The performance is a curious exploration rather than a manipulation of the audience, and gives space to the character to be themselves. Thus, in my performance practice, I must continually fall in love with character, continually cultivate a curiosity in them, and in suspense await what they will do. I must hold the space for character, hold a seance for character.